Hello everyone, welcome to Bebop Mondays episode 14, and today we're going to take a look at a solo Pasquale Grasso played on the tune Groovin' High. Last week a video got uploaded of Pasquale Grasso and Barry Green playing Groovin' High, and I transcribed Pasquale's solo just because it's full of great phrases and great licks that we can use to work on our vocabulary. But in this video I just want to focus on learning the first chorus note for note. Oftentimes people ask me what the difference is between learning a complete solo or a complete chorus and learning licks. For me it's a big difference, because when I work on learning a complete solo, I'm working on timing and technique, which of course happen to be the two most important things to work on as a jazz player. And when I work on licks or phrases, I'm working on adding to my vocabulary. And because I recently made 2 videos for Gypsy Jazz Friday in which we learned complete django solos, I thought it'd be fun to do the same with a bebop solo. So I transcribed the first chorus, and let's go through the chorus lick by lick, and I'll be commenting on things to pay attention to when it comes to technique and of course timing. And sometimes I might say something about a particular phrase or how to use it, but that's not the main focus of this video. Now before we start, a little warning: I'm not using Pasquale Grasso's fingerings because his fingerings are so difficult to play that probably only works if you have his technique, which I think very few people or nobody has, definitely not me. So I'm using much easier fingerings that really fit my picking style, of course, because I'm a gypsy jazz picker, so I sometimes make different decisions when it comes to fingerings than somebody that's an alternate picker or economy picker. Okay, let's start with the first phrase. The first 4 bars, they sound like this. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. So the thing to pay attention to are the offbeat notes in the second bar. Really be aware of the fact that they're part of a string rhythm, so don't play them too early, right? Dee-boo-doo-da-doo-dee-doo. I'm doing a slide there, so don't rush the slide. 1, 2, 3, 4. The nice thing about this phrase is that he's turning around A minor 7 and D7. If you would think about playing a line for A minor 7, you maybe play something like C major 7. And I'm playing a D7 altered, resolving to E flat. But he's playing first D7 altered, so D7 flat 9, and then he's playing a C major 7. Which is really nice, surprising effect, I think. Something that you could definitely use in your own solos. So let's play this phrase with a backing track. I just uploaded a backing track for this tune on my channel. There's a link to that backing track in the description. I'm sorry it's a little bit fast. I think it's a little bit faster than they play it. I just put the metronome too high when I was recording this backing track. Let's go to the next phrase. Of course, the first 2 bars are a continuation of the previous phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Really pretty phrase, ends on the major 7, that's always nice. Then we have a phrase for C7. The chords are G minor 7, C7, but he's just thinking C7 altered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, there are different ways to play this. You could play it with 16th note like it says here, which I think he's playing, but you could also just play 3, 4, 1. So you play an 8th note on the one end and then a triplet. Doesn't really make that much of a difference. Yeah, let's play the 2 first lines. So my main focus is always to play the lines as clean as possible, which is a technical issue, and to play them with consistent swing 8th notes. I want to have every group of 2 swing 8th notes have the same distance from each other. D, 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 D. I don't want to D, 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 D. I don't want to play 2 straight 8th notes and then 2 very swinging 8th notes and then 2 almost swinging 8th notes. It has to be very consistent. And when you listen to the original recording, there's a link to that in the description, you can hear that Pasquale is really doing that, and that makes it sound swinging. So it doesn't matter how complicated the line is, you should never lose the swing. Of course, it's possible to do this perfectly 100% of the time, but you should at least strive for it, especially when you are learning a solo like this. Let's go to the next line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. One, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're a Gypsy Jazz picker, then that second line is pretty challenging with all the double downstrokes. So focus on that high note, because that's the melody note. And focus, of course, on the consistent swing. That first phrase, again, you can play it in different ways. You can play it like it says here, or you could play a quarter note followed by triplets. 3, 4, 1, 2. Doesn't really matter. This is a great 2-5-1 lick maybe to practice separately, just this part. 1, 2, 3. Right. Let's say you play it in C. 1, 2, 3. Very cool sounding lick and easy to find because basically you're gonna start on the root of the 1 chord. Let's play the solo from the beginning until here. So the way I practiced this, of course, was not in this tempo with the backing track. I practiced this with a metronome using my usual system where I play on every beat a click, then only 1 and 3, then only 2 and 4, and then only beat 2, only beat 4. And then I'm looping the phrases until I'm happy with the metronome, let's say on 1 and 3, and then I'll switch to 2 and 4 and start looping it again, and then I'll switch to only beat 2, only beat 4. That takes several hours, but that's really a great way to familiarize yourself with the solo. Also learn it by heart automatically and really work on technique and timing. Let's go to the next phrase. Let me start on the phrase right before this. 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. So if when I play slowly, I'm really trying to make those swing 8th notes very consistent. And it's pretty challenging in this phrase because of the many double downstrokes that I have to do as a Gypsy Jazz picker. But I tried different fingerings. This is the best sounding one, so that's why I'm sticking to these fingerings. But you can, of course, find your own fingerings if you are very uncomfortable with the way I put it down. And as always, you can download all these tabs from my Patreon. There's a link in the description. Something to pay attention to, I find this the most difficult phrase of the solo, so practice it slowly and really be aware of all the position changes and the picking patterns that you're using. Let's play this with the backing track. Okay, now we're at the start of the second part of the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. I really like that first phrase. It's another great phrase for a major chord, and it's very melodical, ending on the 6 this time. This phrase for D7 altered. Notice that it starts the same fingering pattern as the C7 lick in the first part. Of course, it's a standard bebop lick, but it's a great one, and it resolves very nicely to E flat going to that B flat here. Let's play it. We can play it on the first part of the backing track. It's pretty easy to play. Then another great phrase for E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is just a complete phrase for E flat. I mean, the G minor. Of course, G minor in E flat is also a kind of an E flat chord, but in this case, because it's part of a 2-5, this line might sound a little strange on the G minor. Because you would expect either a C7 phrase or C7 altered phrase or something really G minor like, something like. So this phrase is still part of the E flat, and it sounds a little bit peculiar, but of course in the flow of things it sounds nice. And then there is a phrase for C7, 3, 4, 1. That's just a standard phrase for C7 altered. Let's play the first two phrases of the second half with the backing track. Let's go to the next phrase. So here we have a very ear-catching phrase for F7 that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can play it with the pull-offs like I wrote down. I think Pasquale is playing that too. I'm not completely certain now. But you could also just pick every note. 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's not the same effect. I think the pull-off sounds a little bit more maybe in the style. If you start picking every note, maybe it sounds a little bit too much like Gypsy Jazz, although I like that, of course. And then we have another 2-5-1 to E flat, but he's not playing a 2-5-1 to E flat because the chords of Groovin' High at that point are F minor, B flat 7, and then it goes back to F minor, and then D flat 7. So it's basically 2 2-5s in a row with the second 2-5 having a D flat, a backdoor dominant. So instead of playing a B flat 7 phrase, he's playing a C7 phrase. So he's thinking F minor 7, C7, F minor, because that resolves nicely to the F minor. That's a trick you can use when you have F minor, B flat 7 going back to F minor. You can just play a C7. Another song that has that is, for example, Embraceable You, where you have da 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 dee, da 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 dee dee, G minor, C7, and back to G minor. Then you can just play a D7 phrase right before that second G minor. So in this case, Pasquale is doing the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So together we get this 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's continue on and finish the solo before I play all of it for you. So here we're at the last 4 bars of the chorus, where you go back to F minor, and then he plays a long line that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's really following the chords there. F minor, A flat minor, then E flat, C7, F minor, B flat 7. Really nice flowing bebop line, quite challenging to play, so practice it slowly again with the metronome, and then you can play the complete first chorus. So let me do that to end the video. There you go, the complete solo. Pretty challenging to play, especially in this tempo. So you can always put the backing track a little bit slower and work on it slowly. But first, before you do that, please work on it with a metronome. That's the most important part of it. And then when you put the backing track, of course, you're going to try to really lock in with the backing track. But the best thing would be for you to lock in with the metronome first. I hope you'll have fun with it, and perhaps we're going to do the second chorus and the third chorus. Let's see how many views this video gets. At least I had a lot of fun with it, and I will definitely learn the second and third chorus, even if it's not on video. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!